It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
Activate beast mode, I just hit cheat code. Gotta say niggas want Rico. Ayy, I was on TiVo, green dot reload. About to touch down like Tizo. Ayy, stunning like Steve-O, simple like free throw. Juice ain't color like Nigo. Ayy, whip got soup like miso. Ayy, nigga take L like default. Riding through the city, no gas. I be floating on the track, no rail. Okay. Never did art. I just need cheese for the craft for a front. I don't put it on tail. Never tell move smart. Hollywood to school with your dad. Now they got me saying rules in the class. I'm just trying to do my part. Nigga walk smooth like Shaft. Wanna see me come through for the bad. I got my 808 dumping when I'm cruising through the street. We surviving niggas riding, hit the spot like 10 deep. I need my squad on my back. We ain't no game, but they my peeps. I need like 20K at least. I'm just trying to keep the peace. Okay.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there, man. As with all Drake albums, you have a lot of talk, a lot of controversy going on all at one time, by the way. There's multiple situations that are happening, multiple accusations, multiple sources of confusion, et cetera, that are happening with the Iceman album in particular. We're getting early reports about the Iceman album from Drake as far as sales projections are concerned. Album's been out for a whole day and a half, and they're already putting out projections for the album sales. They're saying that it could possibly do between 480,000 to 520, which would be, of course, a number one entry. And both the Habibti and Maid of Honor album are also projected to do over 100K a piece. So as we all kind of knew he was aiming for, he wanted to have the number 1, 2, and 3 spots on the album charts on Billboard come next week. It's very possible that he will indeed take those 3 spots. And I believe that those 3 spots were influenced by Michael Jackson, of course. When the Michael biopic came out, he had that surge in plays, and he had 3 albums that were bubbling on the Billboard charts. And of course, he's been chasing after Michael Jackson for a very long time. Even on, of course, First Person Shooter, he was trying to beat out Michael Jackson for the most number 1 songs. He still hasn't met that. Nokia made it up to number 2. We heard on the album and on the 1 a.m. in Albany, which is no longer called that for some reason. It's no longer a timestamp. I think that's interesting. How you put out a timestamp and then take away the timestamp? What's up with that? But on that song, he said fuck the number 1 on Billboard or whatever. So he said he ain't chasing it no more. As we can see with this album, there was no single actually released ahead of the album. We did have, well, that's not completely true. You had What Did I Miss, which ended up basically being used as a single. You had which one didn't even make the cut? But yeah. So he didn't really have a strong single coming into the album. That National Treasure joint wasn't a real single. That was actually a leak that they claim wasn't even intended for the album, but then the album comes out and it's on there as a 2-part song. So yeah, you see he's still chasing after Mike. He put the Michael Jackson glove on the album cover. There's a lot of talk about that album cover and that symbol he's holding up, that so-called 6, a lot of people are saying is also code for white power. Again, lots of conversations simultaneously happening around this nigga, man. And most of it ain't good. Now, his fans are happy as hell, but I don't see how happy they really are, because they they be happy, but they're also some angry motherfuckers, man. Some angry, wretched motherfuckers. Like, They are intolerant of outside opinions. That's the thing that I don't like. You know what I mean? If you really enjoying the music, it's one thing to correct people if they're saying something wrong, but to just be like lurking to see where Drake's name gets mentioned, and if it's not positive, you just completely insult people. I don't understand that piece of it. You know, I don't understand that piece of it for anybody. I think all stands in that regard need to get that shit together. I've been saying that shit for years. I'm gonna stand on that square. I don't care who you stand. It's never gonna be all right in my eyes. There's some controversy going on with Spotify as well with their reporting on the album and Drake in general. We all know Spotify actually was on the receiving end of Drake lawsuits and litigation just a year ago. He was trying to go into the books and into the numbers and trying to see if they did side deals with UMG, if they were taking money under the table, if they were renegotiating licensing deals to benefit the company. None of that, none of the accusations were materialized. He ended up dropping Spotify, ended up dropping iHeart as well, although he was alleging that they all had colluded together to make him look bad and to be a part of the so-called smear campaign against him. None of that was substantiated in any way. And now Spotify has put out some numbers regarding Make Them Cry and the Iceman album, basically saying it's the most streamed of 2026, highest streamed project and highest streamed first day of 2026. However, the BTS fans out there are calling cap. They're watching the charts, they're watching the numbers, and they're saying, no, BTS actually earned that spot. So can y'all please make that correction? Okay. So again, a lot of different conversations are happening around this particular album. I don't see a lot of people really talking about Maid of Honor or Habibti. And I don't think he honestly cared if people really talked about it. I think the objective was just to put it all out at the same time, get people to listen to it, run up those chart numbers so that he can have, you know, that one up on Michael Jackson, right? I see that there's also some talk going on concerning Too Hard for the Radio. People are circulating this guy by the name of Da Boy, who's a Bay Area rapper who has a song called Too Hard for the Radio, and people are basically trying to say that Drake stole the record from him. That part, I honestly, I can't stand behind, right? Too Hard for the Radio is a Mac Dre song. So any interpolation that comes from the Mac Dre record is going to be Mac Dre. Now, if you have an issue with Drake interpolating Mac Dre, that's a totally different conversation. I seen some people out there that feel like Drake doesn't pour into the Bay Area and has done nothing for them. I saw Guap Dad 4000 come out and say, hey, he co-signed me and changed my life. So does that count or not? Again, you know, I'm gonna be fair in all of my commentary. That part I don't agree with. He couldn't have stolen that song from Da Boy because Da Boy was not the originator of the song, and Da Boy's song is a direct rip of Mac Dre's Too Hard for the Radio. He even rapped on the same beat that Mac Dre did, right? So it's all sourcing back to Mac Dre. So again, if you criticize Drake for interpolating Mac Dre, cool. Da Boy, on the other hand, we got to take him out the conversation because he's not the arbiter of that song, that phrase, or anything. He just remade it a few years ago. Now, some might say, well, maybe Drake heard his version and decided that he wanted to do it. Maybe, maybe not. I can't say. But again, that goes back to Mac Dre. And I think it's especially important that we source Mac Dre when we talk about that, especially when we want to talk about hip hop and the purity of hip hop and just being correct about the source material. And to be extremely clear, y'all saw my reaction to that song Too Hard for the Radio by Drake. I fucking hate that song. So don't get it confused like I'm defending the nigga. I'm just being fair and correct and accurate. You know what I'm saying? Song is still ass. What? Wait. Yeah. No. And last but not least, as far as the conversation going on around the album, you also have Hits Daily Double, who put out the projections for the sales of the album. They're also speculating that Drake turning in these 3 albums once again could possibly be the ending of his business dealings with Republic and UMG. Okay? Pure speculation, but Hits Daily Double is the source that typically comes to us and puts the numbers out there. Luminate, chart data, you know, they tabulate as well. They're the ones that put out the official numbers. So we'll get that next week, probably somewhere between Tuesday and Thursday. And so we'll see. Now, as it pertains to the nature of Drake's contract, his potential dealings with UMG, we don't know that to be certain. We don't know how many albums he had left or anything like that. So we can't say that, but it does seem, and it did seem like that was a dump to try to get out of the contract. You also had him on the album talking about free me and singing about freedom and saying he might be better off independent. What I find very interesting is this revelation that he feels he would be better off independent today, when people back in 2021 were saying that Drake should have gone independent. I remember back in 2020 and 2019 where people were saying that Drake should have gone independent, or whenever his deal is up, he should have went independent. That was a whole conversation for about 2.5 years, where people that actually worked in the industry were talking about how Drake, especially at that time, because of course his perception has changed a lot, but at that time, how important or how massive it would have been had he gone independent at the height of his career, at the height of his popularity, at the height of his perceived power, had he put out an album like Certified Lover Boy, or let's just say that one. Had that come out at that time independently and performed to the tune that it did, what that could have meant for the rest of the industry, how they would have perceived independent artists, et cetera, et cetera. So that was his opportunity back then to like really fight for the little guys in the music industry. You know, even on the album, he says, I'm going up against the machine, not a rapper. Y'all not paying attention as far as the lawsuit and all that bullshit. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, stop trying to put this narrative out there that you're trying to do something for the little guys and all this shit. Like you're trying to change the industry and make everything more peaceful and beneficial to everyone else, when your lawsuit is for defamation. You ain't doing nothing for nobody off no defamation, nigga. Okay? So pipe that shit down. But let's make our way through this. All right, so let's look at this right here. Okay? And Red Media put this up. This is a screenshot of Spotify's original post. They say on May 15th, Drake became Spotify's most streamed artist of 2026 in a single day. Iceman became the most streamed album of 2026 in a single day. And Make Them Cry became the most streamed song in a single day in 2026 so far. Okay? And that original post had 2.1 million views. So then you have somebody who actually came out and reported the numbers themselves. And they say BTS had 14,644,352 plays, compared to Drake, who had 13,219,021 plays. They say, what's happening here, Spotify? You lied for nothing. And that's not no small, margin between the two. That's a whole extra million. So for that to be the mistake made in front of everybody's eyes is definitely interesting. Okay? So they got called out for that. And Spotify actually had to come out and issue an apology. So here we have Spotify with an all new post. They say on May 15th, Iceman became Spotify's most streamed album of 2026 in a single day, and Drake became the most streamed artist in a single day in 2026 so far. Now, what I find interesting is that they would put this out there if BTS actually did outdo him by 1 million plus. But they basically took the whole make them cry piece out and maintained their stance. But here's the apology. They came back and said the initial streams review process was completed manually, resulting in streams from 2 different album tracks being combined. Now, how does someone manually review that and combine 2 separate tracks numbers into one metric for a song? How does that happen? And how often is that happening behind the scenes at Spotify for it to just happen today of all days? Very interesting, but isn't Drake the one talking about 100 million streams disappearing? And ain't nobody said nothing? Didn't we have that bar play out? Okay. They say Drake continues to hold the record for most streamed artist and album in a single day in 2026. We apologize for the error and have implemented updated review procedures to prevent similar issues in the future. So it seems to me that the only thing that they took away from the post was the make them cry thing, but they're not actually admitting to any fault as far as the actual numbers difference between himself and BTS, which I find also to be interesting. Another piece of the puzzle that actually caused a bit of a stir coming into this weekend was this post from Say Cheese. Remember this post? It had over 2 million views, where they claim Iceman will reportedly be whitelisted for YouTube channels who attempt to react to the album live. Drake is letting content creators eat. I find that to be very interesting. I don't know if Say Cheese wanted to just come out and be an agent of chaos all on their own to get that 2 million views for monetization purposes, or if they had received any sort of update directly from Drake or his team or somebody on that side. I don't know, but I also find it very interesting that he used, or they used, the quote, Drake is letting content creators eat, because that was the exact verbiage that was being used by T-Rail and Smack when Not Like Us came out and it got whitelisted. Only problem with that is the music was not whitelisted at all. Now, I don't know what every content creator on YouTube is doing with their Iceman reactions. Some people maybe, putting in their fair use claims to try to get cleared at a later time. Some people are probably not trying to monetize on them at all. But some people who tried to put out reactions to the Iceman album are getting their videos completely blocked. Okay? So we have CDTV The Goose, who posts their update directly from YouTube. And it says, hi, CDTV Productions. Due to a copyright match, your stream was interrupted. Drake Iceman album reaction and maybe the other 2 if I'm still awake. Streams are interrupted when copyrighted content is detected. After copyrighted material is no longer being streamed, streams are automatically re-enabled. So all 3 of these album reactions were taken down and blocked. Okay, can no longer be monetized and has been blocked. So the narrative that content creators will be able to eat, so-called, off the Iceman reactions, it was a complete lie. some people, I won't say the insiders, but I will say people that just happen to stumble up on my channel when, trending music comes out, they be so fucking angry. Why don't you let the song play? What the fuck is this? Why is it only little snippets? Or why'd you cut the music out? Let the music play. That's why. That's why the full versions go on patreon.com/real J Nolan. Because the nigga ain't trying to take no motherfucking chances, man. That goddamn 1 a.m. in Albany shit, the leak as it was supposed to have been. Yeah. When I reacted to that son of a motherfucker, that bitch got blocked too. And I had to cut that shit out and re-upload it. You know what I mean? So I think that is a very strange thing, because unfortunately, if you leave it and don't touch it on YouTube, it's very possible that UMG can come back and put a fucking strike on your channel. You know what I'm saying? Like if they say, oh, your video was blocked, so nobody can view it. But then if you just leave it and don't do it, if you don't delete the video and it's still present in your dashboard, UMG could still at any time come in there and say, "Blow, struck your channel because you didn't take it down." Although it had already been taken down by YouTube, if it's not taken out of the system, they could still strike you at any time. Believe me, I know. Been through it. So I feel like that's just like a low-key reason or way for them to also target channels that are not pro-Drake. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a selective committee type of thing where it's like, okay, if you're positive towards Drake, you can keep it, or you can you won't get the punishment. But if we don't fuck with you, if you're somebody that's on our hate list, we'll hit you with that strike. You know what I mean? To try to expedite you getting your channel knocked off. You know what I'm saying? That nigga put that fucking collab album out with Party Next Door. Damn company called Web Sheriff came and got my ass. Web Sheriff. You think I'm ever gonna forget that? Hell no. Web Sheriff came and struck my ass over that fucking Fighting Irish freestyle that didn't even make the goddamn album that everybody else had. But only the people who were critical of the song ended up getting their fucking channel struck. I find that to be very suspicious. So yeah, man, I can only imagine over the next couple of weeks how many updates are going to come out about the numbers, confusion, more controversy, and all of that different type of shit. Like I could see for the rest of the month there being all types of different angles of things being contested, and because that's what happens with Drake projects. You know what I mean? It just happens. Other people's albums drop, the numbers come out, they never get questioned, they never get they never need a recount. Nobody's stuff comes out. Spotify never comes out and said we've mistakenly combined two songs numbers into one. I've never seen no shit like that before. But for him, stuff like this happens, and I guess people are supposed to overlook it. People ain't supposed to question it. People ain't supposed to investigate it deeper or whatever. So I think the source of the contention is that BTS's song Swim had the 14.6 million streams versus 13.2 million for Make Them Cry, I'm guessing, since they're trying to say that was like the biggest song from the project, which of course is because it was track one. But let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. I will catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be good out there, man. Peace.
Yeah, family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul, independent, I've been setting trends. The first one from my family to be faithfully wed. Fuck niggas and the horses that they riding on. I see this shit from all angles like a polygon. I'll never politic in the drama, be piling on. Father and great son acknowledged like I'm Bobby Bonds. Conversation with my lady about the paper route. 5 sit bank accounts every day, I make it count. They down talking my commentary for hating now. Well, I can take it cause I'm bodying your favorite now, please. I can do this shit in my sleep. I been writing for these niggas, y'all read it and weep. I been fighting these niggas if you speak on the street. I'll turn your birthday party into New Year's Eve. Don't let me take it there. We ain't playing fair. This the ATL, Southside nigga moving furniture like Wayfair. Life on hold, no insurance for your healthcare. Lifeline gone, so you wanna be a millionaire? Well, let me tell you about this world I built. The women I dodged, the niggas that I read for filth. The